Good afternoon, students. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to try to do this without doing anything on the board here this afternoon. I think we can do that. The calculations are relatively simple. The first part of this chapter talks about the advantages of being able to take an immediate tax deduction, because the tax savings associated with that tax deduction increases the present value of that investment. As you recall from your Principles of Finance class, you did net present value and internal rate of return calculations on possible investments to see which one of those investments had the highest rate of return. And by being able to take the depreciation deductions earlier, it increases that net present value and increases the number of projects that actually qualify for your minimum investment standards, and therefore encourages further investment. That's why, is because the net present value is higher. More companies are encouraged to invest in property. Qualifying property, remembering you need to remember this mantra. Depreciable, tangible, personal property used in a trade or business. That's what Section 179 property is. Depreciable, tangible, personal property used in a trade or business. There are three limitations. There's the dollar limitation of $1,200,000. There's this investment limitation of $550,000 limitation, and my $1,020,000 dollar limitation is reduced dollar for any amounts that are over the $255,000. We've actually got a problem for today in which we'll illustrate that. And then you have this taxable income limitation. I can't take Section 179 in excess of my taxable income. In addition to that, on page 10-9, there's bonus depreciation. Now, the bonus depreciation is actually even more generous than Section 179. It's 100% of the cost of property. I have to elect out of bonus depreciation. And it's available. It does not have to be for depreciable property used in a trade or business, so it can be used for production of income property. Remember, both bonus depreciation and Section 179 are not available for real property, just for personal property. Bonus depreciation is limited to anything that has a recovery period of 20 years or less. Okay, so most of the stuff after that then stuff that we'll deal with tomorrow. So, problem 21. Peter Corporation purchases the following assets during the current year. Identify which assets are not subject to cost recovery using depreciation and state why that is so. Okay, so we're just going to go through and we're going to talk about if they're available for any cost recovery deduction, no matter what that is. So land is generally not available for any cost recovery deductions unless it's land that's used in the extractive industries, oil and gas, gold, silver, gravel, etc. Then we would take a depletion deduction. Copyrights aren't available for depreciation, but are available for amortization over their useful life. Building we could take a depreciation deduction for it. Goodwill, we can again take an amortization deduction for it. Goodwill gets amortized over 180 months. Inventory, We get a cost recovery deduction, but that's through our cost of goods sold account. 500 shares of common stock, no cost recovery deduction available, other than I get to reduce my gain by the basis I have in that house to be rented out. Can take a depreciation deduction. Equipment for use in my business, depreciation deduction. An interest in an oil well, maybe be able to take some intangible drilling costs deduction, or some depletion deductions. Car that's used 60% for business, I'm going to be able to deduct that portion as depreciation. Okay. Boy, excuse me. Problem 24. Problem 24. This limitation in problem 24, the limitations apply at all levels. So if a S corporation takes a section 179, passes that through to the individual shareholder, the S corporation is subject to the limitations that we've talked about just a few minutes ago, and the individual is subject to those. So an individual, say, that owns 3 S corporations, and if all 3 S corporations take the maximum amount of section 179, the individual would be in excess of then what they can actually deduct, because the limitation applies at all of those levels. So that's 24. 25 is we've in 25 we've actually exceeded in problem 25, we've actually exceeded our maximum investment limitation by $15,000. $2,565,000 minus the $2,550,000 gives me a $15,000 excess. That means I need to reduce my section 179 amount by that $15,000. So my maximum section 179 deduction is the $1,500,000. So again, that's the $1,020,000 minus $15,000 is $1,005,000. What happens to any portion of the annual limit not deducted in 2019? I get to carry that forward. And finally, the depreciable basis in the equipment then would be the $2,565,000 minus the $1,005,000. And let's see, I didn't calculate that. 2,565 minus 1,005,000 would be 0.00006. $1,560,000 would be my remaining depreciable basis then that I would calculate depreciation on. Again, if it wasn't for this language in here, we didn't take bonus depreciation. But in reality, what would probably happen is I would take bonus depreciation on that remaining amount. Okay, problem 27. Problem 27, I've got $16,000 worth of property that I I purchased, want to take Section 179 on, which doesn't present me with any limits other than the language that says I only have $12,000 of taxable income. So I'm subject to the $12,000 limitation then on my Section 179. Now, there's two ways that I could actually handle this problem. One way is I could take the entire $16,000 as Section 179 and take the remaining $4,000 and carry it forward and take Section 179 deduction on that in a year in which I have sufficient taxable income. The other way I could do that is I could take $12,000 as Section 179 deduction and then depreciate the remaining $4,000. Now here it says that Theo elects to take the maximum Section 179 deduction, so he's going to take $16,000 as Section 179, of which $12,000 is deductible, and $4,000 subject to the carry forward to the next year. So in the next year, he purchases $1,000, plus the $4,000 carryover means he has Section 179 to be deducted in the next year of $5,000, which just so happens to correspond with his taxable amount then in the next year. And so he would take $12,000 in year one, $5,000 in year two. All right, talk to you later tonight or tomorrow as we do then the next section of the homework problems in the book. Be safe. Talk to you later. Bye.